Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with me. And today, we're going to be exploring a YouTube video.
For this one.
It's by Thewizardliz,
Okay.
and it's called You Don't Like Yourself, Create a New Version of Yourself. Have you seen this one?
I have. Yeah.
I have.
What did you think?
I thought it was really interesting. I like her style. You know, she's very straightforward.
Yeah.
She's very no-nonsense.
Yeah.
And she, I like that she kind of pushes back against that whole, like, just accept yourself as you are
Oh, yeah.
kind of narrative.
Yeah.
Like, she's all about, like, pushing for continuous growth and evolution, and I think that's something that really resonated with me.
Yeah, and it's almost like she's saying, stop waiting for the world to change. You have to change yourself. And she uses some pretty interesting examples, too, like Beyonce with her Sasha Fierce persona, and David Goggins.
Oh, yeah.
Who's basically the human embodiment of pushing limits.
Right.
Pushing yourself beyond your perceived limits.
Yeah.
I think those examples are really interesting because it highlights this idea of like tapping into a different side of yourself or like an alter ego to kind of bring out your full potential.
Yeah, and I think...
And she's not... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. She's not saying, like, deny who you are.
Right.
But it's more about, like, you know, how can you kind of reach...
Yeah, access.
Yeah, access a different facet of yourself.
So instead of just accepting the parts of ourselves we don't like, she wants us to get really specific about who we want to become.
Yeah.
And she talks about this visualizing your higher self.
Right.
But she's talking about, like, really detailed stuff, like, what does this ideal you look like?
Yeah. What are their habits? What's their career like? What are their relationships like?
Yeah. How do they spend their time?
How do they spend their days? Yeah.
It's a lot.
And I think that's such a crucial step.
Yeah. Because it's not about comparing yourself to others.
Right.
Or striving for, like, some generic idea of perfection.
Yeah.
It's about, like, what does success and fulfillment look like for you?
Yeah.
Maybe it is, losing weight. Maybe it's about starting that business you've always dreamed of. Maybe it's simply just like feeling more confident in your own skin.
Right.
The key is that it's your vision.
Yeah, so it's like creating this blueprint for the person you want to become.
Right.
But then comes the hard part, right? How do we actually bridge that gap between that dream and reality?
And this is where she talks a lot about, like, consistent action.
Yeah.
Like, that's the real key to transformation.
So she's big on action.
Action, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She talks about, using this question as a guide.
Okay.
What would the higher version of myself do?
Okay.
Especially in those moments when motivation is low.
So like when you're tempted to hit snooze instead of going for that morning run, or when you're reaching for that bag of chips.
Exactly.
Even though, you should be eating healthier.
Right.
Ask yourself, what would my ideal self do? And then you do that thing.
You do it even if it's hard.
Even if it's hard.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, and she shares a lot of, like, personal examples of how she's used this approach.
Oh, okay. Like what?
So she talks about, overcoming her laziness and, like, hitting the gym consistently, even when she didn't feel like it. She also mentions, like, making healthier food choices and even cultivating a love for reading, even though she initially found it hard to focus.
That reading example is interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about physical transformation. It's about challenging yourself mentally and intellectually, too.
Exactly.
She also talks about becoming more confident and using her platform to help others, even though she admits to being naturally shy.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
If you're naturally shy, to kind of put yourself out there like that, it's amazing.
So it's almost like she willed herself to become the person she wanted to be. And I think that's really inspiring, especially for anyone who's, struggling to find their passion or their purpose.
Exactly. And she actually gives some advice for that.
Oh, what's that?
She suggests thinking about what you're naturally good at and what people would actually be willing to pay you for, which I think is a really good...
That's good advice.
Yeah, like a good way to narrow it down and kind of start exploring potential paths.
Yeah, because then you're combining your passion with
something that's marketable.
Yeah, with something that's marketable.
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
She also emphasizes the importance of self-belief, especially when you encounter obstacles or, you face skepticism from others.
Which happens all the time.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
And She talks about her own experience.
Oh, yeah. Did she give an example?
Yeah. So she talks about like battling depression.
Wow.
And dealing with her mother's initial doubts about her ambitions.
Oh, wow.
So, she's been there.
Yeah.
She's faced those challenges.
So like they're saying, you have to believe in yourself before anyone else will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she even cautions against sharing your dreams too early. Because that can sometimes attract negativity that might derail your progress.
So it's better to keep it to yourself.
Yeah, I think she's saying, like, be selective about who you share with. And, don't put it all out there, especially in the beginning.
No, this is where I think it gets interesting.
Yeah.
She brings in this slightly unexpected element of faith.
Yes. This is where her approach gets really interesting, I think.
Yeah, because she talks about believing in a higher power, whether that's God, the universe, something else entirely.
Could be anything. Yeah. It's just that belief in something bigger than yourself.
Yeah. And she emphasizes the importance of surrendering control and trusting in a plan that's bigger than ourselves.
Right. Because sometimes we try to control everything and it can actually hinder us. So it's about kind of like surrendering and trusting.
And she even shares some personal experience about praying and communicating with God.
Yeah.
Feeling like he was her best friend and seeing tangible results when she let go of the need to control everything.
And it's almost like she's saying, when you align yourself with this higher power, you're tapping into the source of strength and guidance that can help you achieve things you never thought possible.
Okay. So we've got visualization, action, and faith.
Faith, yeah.
But how do we apply all this to our daily lives?
Right.
Well,
this is where she starts talking about the importance of adopting a confident mindset, like really believing in yourself. And she has some really good tips.
Okay, like what?
Like imagine everyone being totally in love with you.
Oh, wow.
When you enter a room.
Okay.
It's about shifting your internal dialogue to one of power and self-assurance.
Okay.
And she even suggests using affirmation.
Right.
Like, I am powerful, I am amazing, I'm going to kill this day. When I first heard that, I was like, it sounds a little out there.
Yeah.
But the more I think about it, it's about retraining your brain to believing yourself.
To believing yourself, exactly.
Yeah.
And then if you're struggling or you're doubting yourself, she suggests asking for divine assistance. Like asking God or the universe or whatever you believe in. It's interesting that she brings together that spirituality with practical advice.
It is, yeah.
It's like you have this whole team of cheerleaders, both seen and unseen, rooting for you. But she's also realistic.
Oh, yeah. She knows that this journey isn't always going to be smooth sailing.
Yeah.
She acknowledges that
there's going to be bad days.
Bad days, setbacks, doubts, those are inevitable.
I think that's important because we watch this video and think, oh, it's going to be easy.
Yeah, and she even talks about her own struggles.
Did she give an example?
Yeah, she admits to having bad days, but she's learned to reframe them.
Oh, okay.
Instead of viewing them as failures, she sees them as opportunities for growth.
So it's all about how you look at it.
Exactly.
And that's sometimes really hard to do.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And that's why she encourages the listener to practice resilience and self-compassion.
You mentioned earlier that you've been struggling with procrastination.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this is where that resilience piece comes in. We all have those days.
Oh, sure.
Where we just don't feel like doing anything.
Right.
But it's about picking yourself up.
Yeah.
And starting again the next day.
Absolutely. And I think that's such an important point because I think we tend to get so discouraged when we don't see immediate results or when we stumble along the way.
Oh, for sure.
But what matters most is that we keep moving forward.
So it's not about being perfect. It's about consistency.
It's about consistency. Exactly.
Yeah.
Keep showing up.
Yeah. And you know what? She makes a really good point about the process itself.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
She says that it's not just about reaching the end goal. It's about falling in love with the process of getting there.
Yes.
It's funny that you say that because I was just reading this book about the power of the process.
And she actually makes this great analogy.
Oh, right.
She compares it to the excitement of saving up for something you really want.
Okay.
The joy isn't just in finally getting that thing. It's in an entire process of planning and saving and watching your progress.
And it's true. If we only focus on the end goal,
right?
It's like we're just waiting.
It can feel like a grind,
Yeah.
If we can find ways to enjoy the process,
Yeah.
then the whole experience becomes
More fulfilling.
so much more fulfilling.
Yeah.
I think that's something a lot of people miss. They get so caught up in the destination.
Like we're always looking ahead to the next thing.
Right. We're not present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not present in this moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've talked about visualization, taking action, having faith, embracing the messy process of self-improvement.
Okay.
But there's another key element she talks about.
Okay, what's that?
Show, don't tell.
Oh, I like that.
It speaks to the idea of letting your actions speak louder than your words.
Yeah.
She tells the story about how her own family doubted her ambitions until she started proving herself through tangible achievements.
So she just focused on doing the work.
She focused on doing the work and letting the results speak for themselves.
It's like she's saying, don't waste your energy trying to convince people.
Exactly.
Just go out there and make it happen.
Make it happen.
And then they'll see.
And then the doubts will melt away.
I mean, we all want validation, but ultimately the most important validation comes from ourselves.
I think that's so true.
Yeah.
And I think that's especially relevant today.
Yeah.
With, social media.
It's like this constant pressure to showcase your progress.
Exactly.
Which brings us to her next point.
Okay.
The importance of privacy.
Interesting.
And this one might seem a little counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Especially given how much she talks about faith and trusting in a higher power.
Right, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
What's interesting here is her belief in the evil eye.
Oh.
This idea that negative energy from others can actually hinder your progress.
Oh, so you're saying there's some merit to not sharing too much. Because you mentioned earlier how you're feeling a bit drained by certain people.
Yes.
And maybe this is it.
Maybe it's not about shutting everyone out.
Right.
But maybe it's about being more discerning about what we share publicly and with whom.
Okay, so it's about protecting your energy.
Protecting your energy, your focus.
And not diluting the power
of those goals.
Like constantly broadcasting them.
Okay.
It's not that you can't talk to anyone about your aspirations.
Yeah.
But maybe it's wise to be selective about who you confide in.
Because not everybody's rooting for us.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah. It's better to just keep it under wraps.
Yeah.
So if we boil down this no-nonsense approach to self-improvement, it's all about envisioning your highest self, taking consistent action, and just believing in your own potential.
And I think what's really interesting about Thewizardliz is her emphasis on personal responsibility.
So many self-help gurus talk about, like, manifesting your dreams, attracting abundance. Yeah. But she's very clear. No one is coming to save you.
Oh.
You are the architect.
You're responsible.
Of your own life.
Right.
Which can be empowering, but also...
It can be scary.
A little scary.
Yeah, because it's all on us.
It is, but I think that's what makes her message so powerful.
Okay.
It's a real call to action.
Yeah.
Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for validation.
Do it.
Just start creating the life you want.
And it's not going to be easy.
No, it's not going to be easy.
She acknowledges that there are going to be challenges.
Setbacks.
Doubts.
Fears.
Yeah.
All of that.
All of that's part of it.
It's part of the process.
But it's what we do with it.
Exactly.
It's like she transformed herself.
Yeah,
from, depressed, directionless to this confident, successful,
inspiring
person.
It's incredible.
It's like if she can do it,
you can do it too.
We can too.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
If you could design your ideal alter ego, what one trait would they possess that you lack now?
I like that.
And what's one small step you can take today to start embodying that trait?
So it might be hitting the gym, a reading a few pages of that book you've been putting off.
Yeah.
Or even just telling yourself, I am capable, I am worthy, I'm going to make this happen.
I like that.
It's those small steps that lead to big changes.
Because remember, change doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey.
It is.
And every journey begins
with a single step.
With a single step.
What will yours be?
That's it for this deep dive.
Awesome.
See you next time.